Well, very good. So now we've got the shell. Do we want to finish our tiny house? What else do we need to do?
The next process that we go through for the third inspection is what we call rough trades. And rough trades takes care of looking at the rough ends for the electric, the plumbing, gas if it exists, solar, in some cases 12-volt systems. And we look at each and every component of it. At the electric side of it, we look at the panel, we look at the wiring, we look at the gauge of the wiring, how it's run, how it's protected, the areas in which we could have a conflict when the final wall goes on. We make certain that the proper bonding to the trailer with the electrical system is there and it's grounded properly.
So with that inspection, we're looking at National Electric Code Article 551.
For the electric side of it, yes. On the plumbing side, we inspect the entire water and waste system of the home. From the water side, we look at the source of where it comes into the tiny home, the connection of the tiny home to be sure that it's proper. From there, the distribution throughout the home to be certain of several things. One, that the lines are properly placed. The second thing is that there's nail plates that properly protect them from being damaged as the rest of the construction goes on for the completion of the home. Further from that, once the lines are in place and set, we require a pressure test on it. A pressure test of a minimum of 80 to 100 pounds that we look at. We inspect it as once the pressure is reached and all, it's set for a period of time. We then require the pressure to be released, the gauges to come down to be certain that we are getting a true test of the actual system itself.
So if one of our manufacturers or one of our do-it-yourselfers or an educational member wants to build this device, if you want to go to our website in the member portal that you have access to with your username and password, there is a video on how you can go to local supply houses and get the parts to build a device that will test that pressure for about $20 or something like that.
Exactly. Any local building supply or hardware store will have the components. It's a pretty simple process. As you'll see in the video, you can test with either air or water. It's your choice of which way to go.
Well, most people usually put water in first and then pump it up with air.
With the air. Yeah. And but you can go pure air if you want to.
Right.
We have no restrictions on that. What we want to be sure is you have a viable system, that a nail's not been put through it, or you have a bad connection or a loose connection. We want to be sure that you have a system that meets a minimum requirement for the code, and also that you're not going to have problems in the future with it. We're not going to come back later and have a leak inside of the wall that you've already covered or anything else. So a pressure test is a very important part of the process.
And that's done in the rough stage so that you can catch any potential leaks and defects, so that you don't do it at the final and then find out you have to tear your walls apart to fix it.
Absolutely. We want this done before the walls are completed, before they're covered up, so that we can see what we're testing. Also, in the process of seeing it, if there's a minor leak in there and you can't hold pressure, then it's easy to locate. You can have access to every fitting, every bend, everything else in there, so you can isolate it pretty easily. So that is a very important part of doing it at this stage. On the waste side of it, we want to be certain that all the piping is placed properly according to code. The P-traps are in place. Either it's an external vent or a scooter vent that's required for the discharge. From there, we look at the piping, and especially underneath of the trailer, to be sure that the proper flow is there, that you're dropping the 1/4 inch. Preferred along the way. We want to be certain that the connections are good, the wires are in place, everything is properly strapped and supported, that you don't have any problems. We look at your discharge point from the house as well.
So is there, if we looked at the plumbing side of things, is there any kind of test for the gas side of gas piping?
For people that have LP gas, very seldom have ever seen natural gas. For LP gas, we do test. Once the lines are in place and sealed, we pressure test that to 8 pounds of pressure. Most gas systems run at 3 psi through the regulator for your gas. We test to 8 to be certain that you've got at least a 2-to-1 ratio for the test. We can't test any higher than that because it will damage the regulators. But we do put a pressure test on it, hold it, and be certain that there's no leaks in the gas, which is crucial.
Very good, and that's important. We don't want to damage any regulators.
Exactly. So we test for these phases in our roughing inspection to be certain that everything is good, it's compliant. Not only does it meet code, but it's functional and there's no problems with it.
So if there's any Freon lines that are going to be covered over, do you need to look at them before they get covered over?
We do
look
look at the Freon lines. They're part of the split unit HVAC system, and we inspect them to be sure that they've not been damaged during the installation. So we monitor those as well. Once all of that is completed, once we're certain that all the rough-in trades are good, that there's no problems with it, then the builder can proceed to the next step.